This is the Blaisin podcast, amplifying disability perspective one story at a time. Today is Wednesday, March 19th. I'm Blaise Bryant, as this is my very busy season with budget advocacy and all that stuff and getting reporters to cover our issues. And as such, I have not had time to sit down in front of this microphone and record a podcast for the past few days. So apologies for the radio silence there, but I look forward to being with you the rest of the week. I'd love to come on here all happy and cheery to be back. Unfortunately, we have a tribute show today because a friend of mine in the disability community, Jensen Caraballo, who lived in the Rochester area, he passed away. He's around 33 years old, I believe. He died last Friday. I don't know the cause of death, but Jensen is someone that I had the pleasure of meeting both in person and virtually, and he has, and I still say has, an amazing story to share, and he was very, very much about making sure people with disabilities did not have to deal with the horrors that he did as a teenager. So to pay tribute, we're going to go back to 2021 when I hosted a Fair Pay for Home Care campaign panel. Wow, when we were fighting just to get equitable wages for home care workers. Now we're fighting for the savior of the Consumer-Directed Personal Assistance Program. Wow, how times have changed. But the message, in a way, is still the same. So I started off by giving you the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign lineup. Jensen Caraballo from the Rochester area, Jose Hernandez, who is the president of the United Spinal Association chapter of New York City. We have Julia Yepes Macbeth and Kendra Scalia, who is the board president for the Consumer-Directed Personal Assistance Association of New York State. All five of us here are people with disabilities who use long-term care services, and we'll jump right into our panel discussion as we're talking about the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign. Jensen, why is this so important to you, and why are you so passionate about it?
This is very important to me, because I actually, I know a lot of you guys don't know my story, but I used to live in a nursing home when I was 15 years old. And, it took some years for me to actually transition out of the nursing home and advocate for myself and, kind of learn the ropes of living in the community. So now, I now live in my own apartment. I use long-term services and supports to live in my own apartment, and it's very important to me that I have my aids because I will not be able to live in my own apartment if I didn't have my aids. Actually, I would be back in the nursing home.
Sure. Yeah, and Jensen, I can't wait to hear more about your story as we go along, as we move further along the alphabet. Jose, the same question to you.
Well, I've been injured for 25 years, and in that time, I've had one person from the city come to my house and say they would prefer to put me in a nursing home than pay for 24-hour split shift care. And that's the type of mindset that it's starting again. At one point, my aides were making $10, 10 something an hour, when the minimum wage was $7.25 or so. And here we are in 2021, and now the minimum wage is $15 an hour, which is great. But you can go flip a burger for $15 an hour and not have to worry about actually taking care of someone and their household and everything that comes with that. Not only that, but all the personal care. So it makes a lot of sense that if you want to keep people in the community, you pay for our home care at a rate that it makes it worthwhile to them. And it's not only just about that. It's just a one-bedroom apartment in New York City, in the Bronx. I'm sorry. One-bedroom apartment in the Bronx starts at $1,400, and
Oh my.
that doesn't leave a lot of room at $15 an hour.
No, that's for sure. And we'll thank you for that. We'll get back to you, Kendra. While you are unmuted, I will ask you the same question here, and then we'll get back to Julia as we work out the technical problems here. Kendra, why is the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign so important to you?
Fair pay for home care is really important to me as a CDPA consumer employer. I have struggled for years to fill all of the shifts that I have available. I find quality candidates who go through the interview process with me, and I want to hire them, but they always ask the same question at the end of an interview: how much does this job pay? And I have the unfortunate position of telling them that it's a minimum wage job at just $12.50 an hour. And they all decline the job position. They all withdraw their applications. But more than that, I think that the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign is so crucial right now because of what we're seeing happening in nursing homes. You know, the COVID pandemic has brought to light what the disability community has always known, what we have been shouting from the rooftops for years, that nursing homes are dangerous places for disabled people and seniors to live in. And thirdly, this is really important to me because that national home care worker shortage is going to hit New York the hardest. We're seeing statistics of a shortage of 83,000 positions by 2025. That's 83,000 consumers who need home care providers in their home, but we simply don't have the workers to work these jobs. And the reason for that crisis is directly related to the low wages. So having a minimum wage at 150% of the regional minimum wage would mean that home care jobs never become minimum wage jobs again.
Absolutely. And to kind of put some numbers to that, say the highest regional minimum wage were $15 an hour, it would be $22.50 an hour. As we now have Julia unmuted. Do you need me to repeat the question, or do you have it?
Well, if you can repeat it, I appreciate it.
Certainly. How or why are you so important, or why are you so passionate about the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign?
Well, I happen to have a 24-hour assistant. So it's what they call a live-in. And the person works 24 hours every day. The pay that they get is what they call the shift, but they're actually working 24. Whether they sleep and eat, they're still in the house. And they only are allowed to pay them 13 of those 24 hours, which is insane. And I no matter how I try to make sense of it, it doesn't. I'm always looking for people. I never have anyone that's extra just in case someone gets sick or has an emergency. It's become almost like an obsession to see these PCAs get more money. This is very hard work, and while they're here for those 24 hours, they really cannot be free to go any place. They have to stay there. If you are having a person stay in one place for 24 hours because it's the job, then they deserve to be paid for 24 hours. And this is why I'm hoping, and I will try to do the best I can to get that pay increase for these people. I know that if I didn't have anyone during the quarantine and they were here constantly, whether they came by cab or they took car service. And this is another thing that they, if by any chance something happens with a bus or there's a quarantine again, or some emergency happens in New York City, they take a cab to the job, which costs a lot of money. That comes out of their pocket, really, because the agencies do not give an incentive for when they have to be at a job at a certain time.
Sure.
So, it's really very hard, very hard.
Absolutely. We'll circle back with you in a few minutes. Joining me, Blaise Bryant, on our Fair Pay for Home Care campaign panel are Jensen Caraballo from the Rochester area, Jose Hernandez, the president of the United Spinal Chapter, New York City, Kendra Scalia, board president of the Consumer Director Personal Assistance Association of New York State, and Julia Yepes Macbeth, who is a consumer, as all of us are here. Everyone has what I like to call a CDPA story. And Jensen, I'm going to come back to you with this one. You talked about at the beginning of this panel how you were in a nursing home and now you're in your own apartment. Talk about the quality of life increase and how you are now thriving being out of the nursing home and into your own apartment.
Thank you. It's a world of difference. Living in a nursing home versus living in your own home. I have so much freedoms now. I can literally control how I live my life. And I'm so grateful for that. But I think what's frustrating about all this is, just remembering the days that I was in a nursing home and knowing that there are still people still there, and struggling to get out. And it's like Kendra was saying, we've been talking about this. The community has been talking about this issue for years before the pandemic. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic. And, it's important that our people are dying in these places. And, it shouldn't be that way. We can raise the wages for our hard workers so that we can live in our own homes, so that we can I have a job now. I just want to answer the question that you asked me. I have a job now. I have traveled all over the place. And I've done so many things since I lived in the community. Things that I would not have been able to do living in a nursing home. I have, I don't know if that answers your question, but...
You did. Thank you very much. Jose, I'm going to go over to you. The pandemic has certainly been extremely challenging in terms of recruiting personal assistants, and I know you have more than all of us really had to deal with these challenges because of a very unfortunate event that you have had to share on various panels and the like. If you feel comfortable talking about that experience and how you have had to deal and overcome that.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the height of the pandemic, in the beginning, my PA, who worked with me for over 12 years, got sick, and he knows how difficult it is to recruit new individuals or people just to as a backup. That he says, I'm not feeling well, but I'll come in on Monday if you need me to. So I couldn't take that chance. And I was like, something? When you feel better, you come back. And unfortunately, 2 weeks after that conversation, he passed away. And the scramble began. Not only is it difficult because of the requirements, you have to get a 40-page application that no one was sending to you, or you have to wait in the mail for it to be mailed to you because a lot of people don't have printers. You have to do a medical at the height of pandemic where you don't know where to go. And you have to recruit someone and let them know that, yeah, you're going to risk your life day in and day out to come into my house to take care of me and clean my body and, my home for $15 an hour. So I don't understand how and why it should be that difficult. Why shouldn't they get paid, a decent living wage for what they do? It's so personal, the job. You're in someone's house, you're cleaning up their apartment, you're cleaning up their bodies, and you're getting $15 an hour. And at the height of the pandemic, they should have been classified as essential workers, and they never were.
It's just such a shame. It really is. And Jose, I really appreciate you having the comfort to share such an incredibly tragic story. Let's see. Julia, I'm going to circle back with you here as we only have a few minutes left to talk about which you did a little bit about your aides only getting paid 13 hours for a 24-hour shift and the transportation that they have to utilize that, of course, the wages don't keep up with the cost of a New York City cab. What was your life like before you started utilizing consumer-directed personal assistance?
Before I was with the consumer-directed program, which allows the consumer, the patient, if you want to call it the patient, or me, we are allowed through that program to hire, to secure a person that we either know or someone that we feel that is competent, and we work with the hours, and we also train the person specifically for our type of disability, what to do. And that person becomes actually your lifeline, because that person is the one who gets you ready to face the world every day. And so before then, I was pretty much at home because the regular agencies that do not have the CDPAD program, they send people, either different people every day. They're not really there for the consumer. The consumer has no say. So therefore, at that time, I found myself that I didn't have an independent lifestyle, that I could go to meetings, that I could pursue my advocacy. There was nothing that I could do. So I had to wait and be someone else's puppet. Where with the consumer-directed program, I have the freedom to use my hours as I see fit for my advocacy. And so therefore, we get into that rhythm of where my PCA knows where I'm going, what I'm doing. She helps me with everything that I have in my that I can share in my home, and also it's the same person, a person whom I get to know, a person who it becomes somewhat like a sister, and it's a person that you get to trust. Where with anything else besides that program, the CDPAP program, you'll meet a stranger every day. You don't know who they are.
Absolutely. The clock and I are not good friends here. We're pretty close to time here. Kendra, you've been kind of spearheading a lot of this organizing and really are the conduit as to why we're all together here. Jensen Caraballo, Jose Hernandez, Julia Yepes, Macbeth, Kendra Scalia, and me, Blaise Bryant. Kendra, talk very quickly about how people can get involved in the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign.
Absolutely. So the Fair Pay for Home Care campaign really grew out of people with disabilities, seniors, home care providers, and family caregivers coming together with various different disability organizations, associations, as well as some traditional home care agencies and fiscal intermediaries through CDPA to address this issue. And we're all coming together under the banner of the New York Caring Majority. And so you can get involved by following the hashtag Fair Pay for Home Care. That's 4, the number 4. So hashtag Fair Pay, the number 4 Home Care on Twitter, and get involved in those conversations. We have a petition available. If you find New York Caring Majority on Facebook, you'll be able to see our petition. We're asking folks to share that and sign it. Share it with all of your networks, as many folks as you can. And we really need people to contact their state legislators. Let them know that this is an important bill to you and that you need them to vote yes and get this part of our budget process. That bill was just recently introduced. It is being sponsored by Assemblymember Gottfried and Senator Rachel May. And we're just so excited because they're really great advocates for us on our state level. But we do need everyone's support who's listening today to contact your local legislature and let them know that fair pay for home care is necessary and that you need this for your community.
It really is just such a powerful panel and a lot of powerful stories that we heard over the past 20 minutes or so. I know it's a little bit of a longer What's Up Wednesday show, but it was important to pay tribute, and I really wanted you to hear because there were so many intertwining messages and stories within that really does do the tribute justice for the late Jensen Caraballo. Rest in power, my friend. We will always be thinking of you as we fight the good fight for disability rights. What stood out to you from this show? Let me know on Facebook at Blaisin Shows. It's BLAISIN Shows. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, and share the show. That's a free way to help it grow. Transcripts are AI generated and are not perfect, but they will give you a baseline sense as to what I'm talking about tomorrow. Because tomorrow is the first day of spring, that means a good old deck cast as we look back at the Capitol crawl from March 12th, 1990. This was in my plans to do last week, but life happened, as John Lennon would say. So we'll take a trip back to the Capitol crawl. I'm Blaise Bryant. Thank you for listening to the Blaisin Access Podcast, amplifying disability perspective one story at a time. Have a great day.